What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Boy, do we have a good one for you guys today. We're going to be going over the FFA and ETR must draft list. These are 10 players that Evan Silva, the ETR projection team, and of course myself have projected and ranked as the best picks in drafts right now. And I actually have 3 bonus players to throw in because I don't know. I thought they were really good, but I wanted to keep the list to 10 so we didn't have like a 45-minute video. But I'm going to talk about a few bonus players as well. So buckle up, hit that like button, and hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Let's hop into this video. So first up, we're going to go over the wide receiver position. And the name that I'm actually probably the most excited about on this list in general is Allen Robinson. I have him ranked 15th. ETR projection team has him at 25. Evan Silva has him at 19. Composite ADP among all sites, 26. Reports coming out of camp have been phenomenal surrounding Allen Robinson. They are absolutely in love with him, and it is blatantly obvious that he'll be a focal point of this offense. We have liked him for years, and while his game took a slight step back last season, that's just because he's been so elite. He didn't take a step back from being average to being poor. I mean, as per Matt Harmon, Allen Robinson was a top 5 wide receiver against man coverage in 2019 and in 2020 before finishing in the 81st percentile last season. But people will look at his 34 receiving yards per game last year and think that he just fell off a cliff. But the 81st percentile success rate versus man coverage is very good, and he had a 96th percentile success rate versus the press. That is not the end of the world. He's still a very, very good wide receiver. The Bears' offense was just so bad that it couldn't really support high-end numbers from anyone. The closest they got was Mooney, and even him with 1 billion targets. Was he really like a high-end fantasy producer last season? Not really. Now we see Allen Robinson join the Rams fresh off their Super Bowl win after a season where they ranked 6th in points per game, 5th in passing yards per game. Van Jefferson is now unlikely to start the season healthy, and even if Odell returns this season, he is not going to be healthy to start the year. It's going to be a long time before he's ready to step on the field. Allen Robinson is a stud, and he's going to post monster numbers for the Rams this season. So please, please, please draft him as much as possible. Next up is not one wide receiver. It is just the entire wide receiver core of the New York Football Giants. Toney is our favorite. I have him at 40. Evan Silva and ETR both have him at 36. And his ADP on average is 49th. That is a significant discount for a phenomenal player in a really good situation. But just looking at Toney is one thing. It's just crazy that, usually, let's just say, you take a wide receiver core and we're really on someone. It probably means we're off of the other players, right? If we have Toney way ahead of ADP, it is unlikely for us to also have all the other receivers ahead of ADP, but we do. Golladay, we have an average spot of 11 spots over ADP in our rankings. Wan'Dale Robinson is 5 to 6 spots ahead of ADP in our rankings. So basically, just try and get a Giants wide receiver onto your roster if you can, with a very clear ranking of Toney, then Golladay, then Wan'Dale. So why do we like them so much? It's really the change in offense. It's not us thinking that Daniel Jones is some amazing quarterback that is going to take a huge step forward. I think he's got potential to be better because he hasn't been that fantastic up to this point in his career, but it's really the coaching. Brian Daboll, their new head coach, I trust him. He was the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills since 2018. Mike Kafka, he is their new offensive coordinator. He was formerly the quarterback coach and the passing game coordinator for Kansas City since 2020, and I think he was the quarterback coach for a little bit longer before that. These two are massive steps up from what they had been having in recent seasons. And so we're expecting a much more creative offense, a much more pass-heavy offense. We're not sitting here again thinking that Daniel Jones is going to be Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. That would be absolutely absurd to think. It's not even in his range of outcomes. He's just not that type of player. But Joe Judge and Jason Garrett had no idea what they were doing, which isn't exactly shocking because Garrett's never had any idea what he's doing his entire career. But I trust the new coaching staff, and I like the talent of the individual players. Toney is super underrated. He was maybe a little bit raw last season, but he went out there and he was actually a pretty good route runner. He's a very, very talented player in every aspect of the game. I think he can be their number one, but across from him, you've got Kenny Golladay, who everyone thinks is like dust now after 2 injured seasons, but he used to be everyone's favorite. He's still got a lot of talent. He can be really good. And then people trash on Wan'Dale because they drafted him too early. But number one, they drafted him very early. They're clearly like him. And number two, he's a very versatile player. He'll get screen passes. He'll get schemed looks. He'll get end arounds. He'll line up in the backfield and just take a carry. Like, they're just going to get the ball into his hands. And so if I like all these players, I think the offense will be better than everyone thinks. It's like in every area, I just like the Giants more. Probably not a good thing, let's be honest, but I really just do. They project really well, and I can see a situation where if this offense is even average this season, they're probably all going to smash their ADPs. And since you have so many opportunities and none of them cost all that much in drafts, again, the easiest one to get is Wan'Dale, obviously, in like the basically last round of your draft. But even Toney is going as the wide receiver 49. These guys are not expensive. Try and get them onto your roster. Not all three. If you're in a redraft league, don't be drafting Toney, Golladay, and Wan'Dale. I would probably just pick your favorite or whichever one you think you can get at the best discount. Again, my favorite is Toney still. Final wide receiver we'll go over today before we're getting some bonus wide receivers in here is Nico Collins. And actually, he is the single biggest ADP value among all players. So among all the positions, all the players we're going to talk about today, we have Nico Collins projected and ranked above ADP as the biggest value among everyone. I have him ranked 59th. ETR's projection team has him at 70. Evan Silva has him at 65. But composite ADP for him is wide receiver 80. So I have him as 21 wide receiver spots ahead of his ADP. Now, I have been critical of Collins in the past and even this season. So I'm sure many of you are surprised by this. But he gets this ranking for a number of reasons. First, of course, we have Mechie not being able to play this season after his leukemia diagnosis. I do think that Mechie is like a really quality prospect, and I really hope he can get back onto the field in the offseason, really train in the offseason, and be a key contributor to the offense next year. But with him likely done for the season, their wide receiver core is Brandon Cooks as the very clear alpha, and he honestly could make this list. I really like him. Nico Collins, and then just a dumpster fire after that. Chris Conley, Chris Moore, Chester Rogers, Philip Dorsett. Collins, say what you want about his talent, is significantly better than every single one of those players I just mentioned. And he's going to have an insanely high snap share and be, at the very least, very targeted. Now, what he does with those targets is, kind of up to his development. Through camp so far, it does seem like he has developed, he has improved as a wide receiver. And then we consider the red zone. I mean, he's 6'4". He already had a 14.3% red zone share last season. So he's probably going to be relatively targeted with a pretty high red zone share. And also, no one's talking about it, but there are scouts that I really respect that loved his development to close last season, are really, really high on Davis Mills, long term. And current reports out of camp are not only that Nico Collins has been good, but Davis Mills has been really, really good. And, it could be a situation where everyone's just locking them in as a bottom 5 offense. But I have a feeling that this offense is going to surprise people. So if Collins is projecting as a fantastic pick, even with me projecting them as a bottom 5 offense, what's going to happen if they're not? What's going to happen if Davis Mills goes out there and he's actually pretty decent? They're throwing the ball a decent amount. I mean, really good reports out of Brandon Cooks. What if he starts going off and Collins starts going off and this is a good offense? These guys are going to smash their ADPs. So I really just think you've got to be trying to get Nico Collins onto your team. So those are the wide receivers that made the final cut, but there are a lot of players that we do have ranked and projected pretty well above their ADP. And so I wanted to mention 3 more for you today that barely missed the cut, could have been in this video. Courtland Sutton, number 1, especially with Tim Patrick now done for the season. Joshua Palmer, now that he's basically secured the number 3 role for the Chargers. And then Christian Kirk, since people are, I think, underrating him because, he was the first wide receiver to sign in the offseason. Everyone was making fun of the Jaguars for giving him like $1 billion, and even though he's Christian Kirk. And I think that's just like in everyone's mind, even though he's going to have a very large role in the offense. The contract means they clearly wanted him a lot. They're going to use him. And this also could be an offense that everyone thinks is going to be very bad and could still be very bad, but might not be. And if they aren't, he's going to absolutely smash his ADP. So all three of those players, as well as the ones I mentioned before, are ranked well ahead of ADP, of course by myself, but also by Evan Silva and by the ETR projection team. As many of you know, the Establish the Run team is going to be sponsoring the next few Friday videos, and we're going to be using their rankings to take a look at the best and worst picks in drafts from a number of different angles. I consume very little extra content in the industry since I have practically no extra time in the summer, but Establish the Run is one that I make time for because their content is so good. Silva, Levitan, the entire team do a fantastic job at providing fact and statistic-based fantasy advice, which is something that can be rare at times in the industry right now, with everyone just thinking that they need to like clickbait their way to the top. So if you want more quality content that I 100% back and trust, then head on over to their YouTube channel. I'll link it in the description box down below. And if you want to check out the rankings as well, since it's fantastic to have multiple sources of information, then use promo code FFA. You get 20% off any package you want on their website. And I highly recommend signing up if you want to play preseason DFS this season. In particular, they are the industry leader as far as preseason DFS is concerned. So with that, let's move on to our second position, tight end. And we'll start off with Robert Tonyan. Tonyan is my tight end 16, ETR's tight end 18, and Silva's tight end 13. Silva likes him a lot this season. But it comes off the board as a tight end 22. And that basically is because people are kind of uncertain about, his recovery from the torn ACL, which is understandable, but that should not be factoring into people's decision to draft him this late. Like, who cares if he misses a few weeks or takes a few weeks even to get back to 100%? What if he's not 100% by week like 5 or 6? It's like, it's your tight end 22. Like, are you really relying on the 22nd tight end off the board as your week 1 starter? I certainly hope not. Tonyan is great for teams that want to double dip late at tight end. Maybe you just missed out on the early options. You're not in love with the mid-range. So double dip. Take Cole Kmet and then go out there and get Tonyan really late because he has so much upside. Because let's be honest, Rodgers is Rodgers. Rodgers is the 2-time reigning MVP. He is going to throw touchdowns this season. But who's he going to throw to? I mean, Christian Watson is a rookie that has missed all of camp so far. We don't know how much time he's going to miss, so he hasn't developed any sort of chemistry yet. Sammy Watkins has never had double-digit receiving touchdowns in his career, hasn't had more than 3 since he was 24 back in 2017. I like Allen Lazard. Rodgers likes Allen Lazard, but he's not exactly making up, the 11 touchdowns that are missing from Adams last season. Lazard already had 8 last year, so he can't even go up that much from there. Like, there's really good reports about Romeo Doubs, but there's good reports in camp at Romeo Doubs. We don't know if that's going to translate into the regular season. Like, Tonyan is going to be a featured red zone weapon when he is back. And again, that is a featured red zone weapon on a team with the 2-time reigning MVP. So why is he going as the tight end 22? Even if he's going to miss time, that makes no sense. Another one that I'm starting to come around to a little bit more is Albert O. If you've followed my content this summer, then I haven't always been all in on him, but the injury to Tim Patrick really secures his floor. I didn't even give Albert O that big of a bump, but ETR did point out that Denver's probably now more likely to go with 2 tight end sets since they did draft a rookie as well this offseason, but we know that, the rookie they drafted with Greg Dulcich, like he's not going to come out here and have like 800 receiving yards. It's a rookie tight end. It just doesn't really happen. But they're going to want to develop him. They're going to want to get him on the field. And so 2 tight end sets just make sense, especially when you consider they don't have a billion outside wide receivers. They've got Sutton, but Patrick was supposed to be that other outside wide receiver. Now they're a little bit less likely to try and run like a bunch of wide receiver sets because they're missing someone that was going to be a key staple in that. So if they switch to a lot more 2 tight end sets, that means Albert O is just going to be on the field more. And so I gave some extra target share to everyone, just a little bit, and a lot went up for Hamler because he's likely to be on the field more now. But if they play Alberto more, and if they're looking for, a bigger body and just someone to use more, it just makes sense that he should get an increased target share. And I barely, again, did not give him that much, but that tiny increase is enough to just secure him in the rankings. He's my 10 and 15, ETR's 12th, Evan Silva, he's 10th, ADP is 17th. 17th is simply too low. That is a really, really nice discount. On to the running back position, where I have 3 more names for you. And we'll start off with the most undervalued running back according to our rankings, and that's Rachaad White. I have him 41st. ETR, he's 39th. Evan Silva has him 37th. And his ADP is down at the running back 50. I in no way think that White is taking Fournette's job. Just like straight up, that is an impossibility. But White is a phenomenal pass catching back. And we all know that Brady is going to throw the ball 1 billion times a season. I've projected for over 700 pass attempts, just like he did last year. So honestly, both could have really good years. Both of them could smash. But White's a fantastic pick because you're not sacrificing upside to secure his floor. With every other running back in this range, you basically have to choose between upside and a stable weekly floor. But not with White. He's going to have a passing down role even when Fournette is healthy. But I think he's good enough to be featured if Fournette went down. And that would be a featured running back who's an elite in the passing game on the Bucs. It does not get much better than that for upside. After White, our next best running back pick is actually Breece Hall, which I am genuinely, shocked to see. I did not think his name would be on this list, but I have him ranked 15th. ETR has him at 16. Silva has him at 19. Average ADP, running back 22. And I don't know, maybe I need to start drafting him more or give more thought into his upside, but I clearly have him projected to just smash. And if ETR agrees with me, if Silva himself agrees with me, then I need to pay a little bit more attention to that and start drafting him more. As of right now, I have Hall getting only 57% of the team's carries, 10% of the team's targets. Those aren't crazy numbers to hit. And I actually don't have him being all that efficient with his carries either. And in fact, I have this offense projected to be bottom 10 in touchdowns and to be pass heavy. So I think it's a little bit shocking that his projection is so good. But I think it's a very similar situation as to why I like Aaron Jones so much. If I'm wrong on Breece Hall, it is very likely that I'm not over projecting him, but that I'm being too pessimistic. I doubt he ends up much worse than the 4.1 yards per carry I've given him. And I doubt the Jets end up being, basically throwing the ball at a higher rate than teams like Buffalo, Cincy, or the Rams. And if they improve at all from my projections, that's the company they'll be with in terms of passing play rate. And I really doubt that they give him and Carter an equal split. That would make absolutely no sense. So again, if I'm wrong here, it is probably that he's more efficient than I'm projecting, or that they lean on him even more than I think. And so if he grades out as a fantastic pick under my current assumptions, then we should be all over him, just like we're really all over Aaron Jones as well, who realistically could also make this list, which brings us to 14 names being featured in this video, which I do believe deserves a like if you've not done so already. Final running back we'll go over today, Rhamondre Stevenson. As many of you know, I have to record this 2 days before uploading. So I'm currently recording this at 2:29 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday for an 8 a.m. Eastern Time upload. As of right now, I have seen that Rhamondre Stevenson was on the sideline in practice. He was not practicing. Early indications are that it's nothing to worry about, but just be sure to keep an eye on that. If you follow me on Twitter, or you can just check the Twitter updates channel in the Discord, then you'll have the news covered. You'll see when it comes in. You'll see what it is. Right now, I don't 100% know why he's not out there, but assuming that he is fine, all of myself, the ETR projections, and Evan Silva have Stevenson ranked 31st among running backs, but his ADP is down at 36, making him a fantastic running back to take in the middle rounds. I love Stevenson because he goes right before there's a really big drop-off in running back talent, but also because the ceiling is insane. I really don't think James White is going to be fully healthy this season, and I do think that Stevenson is a better running back than Harris. And so there's a world where Stevenson is now the running back 1, like the 1A to Harris's 1B, but that he's getting a lot of goal line, he's getting targets, he's getting receptions in the receiving game, and if that happens, he's going to smash his ADP. I mean, Harris just had 15 touchdowns last year. White has been stealing receptions for years. Like, Stevenson is built as a featured running back. This offense could be good. This offense is probably going to throw to running backs at a pretty high rate. All the reports out of camp have been very positive about Mac Jones' development. That's a really good thing. If you want players on this offense, you want Jones to develop. And let's be honest, they are not going to steamroll this division. They are probably going to be trailing to the Bills. They are going to be competing with Miami. They're going to be fighting to make the playoffs. You're going to have to win 9-10 games to make it in the playoffs. They're probably not going to be able to be super conservative, and that sets up for Stevenson games, not Harris games. Harris games are the ones where they're up by 3 scores, and they're just like, I don't know, just give him the ball. He's going to rumble it in for 3 touchdowns on like 70 rushing yards. Stevenson's a better running back, better in the receiving game, fits this offense better. I think he can be a league winner. The final position we'll go over today is quarterback. I have 2 more names for you. First up, Trey Lance, another name that I sort of wasn't expecting to see on the list. But you know what? I have Lance ranked as the quarterback 11. ETR has him at 8. Silva has him at 10. Compared to his ADP, of the quarterback 13. And if we're being honest, that makes all the sense in the world. Like, the quarterback 13 is far too low. Even my quarterback 11 ranking is pretty darn conservative. There is a world where Lance runs for over 1,000 yards, and that would easily lock him in as a top 10 quarterback unless he has like the worst year imaginable throwing the ball. But given how good this coaching staff is at play calling and how good their skill players are, that's just not going to happen. Lance won't even be close to the league lead in pass attempts. In fact, I have him projected to finish 29th. So that's not good. But his yards per attempt will be through the roof playing with Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, and just given his rushing projection, it is unfair. It is genuinely unfair to have the upside to run for 1,000 yards as a quarterback. And that is part of the reason why our final player on this list is Jalen Hurts. Both these guys are here for the exact same reason. Hurts, my quarterback 4, ETR's quarterback 6, Silva's quarterback 3. That is the highest ranking I have seen in the industry. All this compares to a composite ADP of the quarterback 7. Again, it's the rushing. I have Hurts projected to finish 26th in pass attempts per game on the season, however you want to put it, but it doesn't matter. When he throws the ball, he is going to be incredibly efficient since A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert is an elite trio, but he averaged 52 rushing yards per game last season to go along with 10 rushing touchdowns. The Eagles were unwatchable at times last season, and they completely went away from throwing the ball late in the year. So you would think that he'd have a bad year in fantasy, but he still finished 7th in fantasy points per game because having a mobile quarterback is a cheat code. And if these guys are surrounded by fantastic skill players, you add on this massive mobility, these extra like 100 yards and a touchdown on the ground, like not 100 rushing yards and a touchdown, but what you can basically do is say, whatever they threw, pretend like they threw the ball for like 100 extra yards and a touchdown every game. That's what they're giving you on the ground. And you have these incredible skill players around them. The weekly floor is massive. The weekly ceiling is unreal. I just think you got to be getting these guys on your roster. So those are 10, but really 14 must draft players for this fantasy football season. Make sure you check out my rankings on the website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com, but also check out the ETR YouTube channel to get some extra free content. And if you want to sign up for any of their packages, just use promo code FFA when signing up. You'll get 20% off any package you choose. I'll be back tomorrow to go over the most important news out of camps right now. Sunday to go over the running backs I would be avoiding the most on Underdog. And then Monday for another episode of Mock Draft Monday. If you made it this far, then be sure to hit the like button and to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. But thanks for watching.